Welcome to the Cosmic Couple.
Hello, everyone out there. This week, we're going to talk about professors and teachers.
And a lot of different personalities.
Yeah, and like any university department, different cliques. You got the old guard and you got the newbies coming in, and different beliefs in teaching and art and what's important. And you worked in the art department, so you got to see...
I was a work study student. That's how I started out in just the main art department office. It was great for an undergraduate. You're going to meet a lot of professors, instructors, lots of interesting people, and you'll really get to know the program very fast.
How did they treat you as a student?
Yeah, it was pretty obvious that I was a student.
Okay.
And I was in sort of this main office where I literally answered the phone for the art department.
Now, there were full-time staff there as well for the art department, some of them that have been there for many years. How did they treat you?
How did they treat me? Well,
I guess this is probably where the defense would say, objection leading the witness here. What I'm kind of leading you toward is there were some mean people that made this other person cry a lot.
Yes. And this particular person, she would make anyone who was working for her cry. And so oftentimes this, professional woman would end up in my office crying. And because she was just trying to get away from the person she was working with.
Right. And she chain smoked like a chimney.
Oh, right. And this was, back then you could smoke in the university buildings,
right.
In a lot of businesses, you could still smoke.
I think there was another person that was having an affair with a graduate student.
With a student, yeah. There were several of those. I would be filling these mailboxes with these professors' information, and it would be like, okay, no one is picking this up. And I remember, the head secretary had to tell me, oh, we mail those. That person lives in Florida, or that person lives in a completely different area of the country. They no longer had to stay close to campus because they weren't allowed to teach because they were being professionally reprimanded. They're just attracted to youth.
Yeah.
I had a graduate student that was teaching, and he was teaching introductory level classes. And there were many occasions where he would try and invite me out for a beer, and I wasn't even 21.
I get it. You're feeling independent. You're on your own at college. You're starting to make your own path. And
for me, it was the first time that I had pretty much been away from home.
Right. This guy was pretty predatory.
For you to be watching it happen and know that that's the right word for it.
Yeah.
But for me, it wasn't until I was much older that I looked back on that and thought, oh, that was very predatory.
Yeah. There was one professor that we knew the name, but we were like, who's this guy? How's he a professor? Like you said, you had to mail their stuff.
Yeah, they're still getting paid.
Yeah. And then one of the last years, he came back out of banishment and was, allowed to teach again. He was tenure. So you can't just fire someone when they're tenure. It is protection for the professors as much as the university. He basically had like a 2-year vacation for that time being.
Yeah.
And there was a female professor that also tried to take advantage of a student. So it was equal opportunity predators there.
Yes. I would say that it was still at the same level of what was happening in the world around us.
Abuse of power.
Yes.
Yeah. Abuse of power at all levels. And it's, it was disheartening to see it. But the younger professors that we got to work with,
they really felt like, they wanted to get to know you and understand what you wanted to pursue in your work. And it developed mentor for sure. Looking back, we had all these different experiences with relationships. And our relationship was the one that really made me feel at home and at peace.
Yeah, it definitely helped again for us to both be there and be a sounding board.
Or, am I being naive? Like, what am I not seeing in this new surroundings? And it just made me even more confident when I would go into these unknown situations, whether it was a class or a critique.
I think we both were able to build each other up.
But I remember sometimes, just to have that second viewer, that didn't make the original artwork, because you could be making something totally abstract or something where you're like drawing drapery, and all of a sudden you're like, I see a face right there. And then you can never unsee the face again.
That's true.
And you don't want to walk into a critique and there's something just that obvious.
Right. I remember doing this one watercolor painting, and it was a draped towel of some kind over some boxes just to have like different layers. And then I had these big pretzels, these big Schneider's pretzels. And I put those in the still life. And it wasn't until I was fully done that someone said, that looks like piles of dog duty. And the pretzels, they look like big piles of dog duty.
Oh,
and I couldn't unsee that. And I'm like, well, that painting's done.
You can't unsee that. That's hard.
Yeah. But lesson learned, don't paint large pretzels.
Don't do it. Just don't do it.
All right. Well, we'll leave with that life lesson there about pretzels. And remember to subscribe, hit that bell, follow us, become obsessed with us. That's what we want. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Christmas break, 1980.